I'd like to welcome everybody here to the meeting. I'd like to welcome our new members, Neil, Mark, Dennis, and I'd like to welcome back the old ones, Gary, Terry and Dave. Also like to introduce some of the staff. I'm Eileen Hopping, I'm the Area Manager of South Eastern Ward. We've got Dean Allen, who's District Manager, Lorna White, Group Manager. Donna is the Governance Advisor. Kelly will be the admin assistants for us, and Amy's communications, and Alison is our legal counsel. Okay, so making and attesting members' declaration. I call the following members to read and sign their declarations to the Whangamatā Community Board in accordance with Schedule 7, Clause 14 of the Local Government Act 2002. Member Jury.
Sure. I, Mark Hugo Brewery, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the Whangamatā community the powers, the authorities and duties vested in me or imposed upon me as member of Whangamatā Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, and any other act.
Just need to sign here.
Start.
Thank you. Okay, Gary, you got there?
I, Gary Colin Gottlieb, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interest of the Whangamatā community the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Whangamatā Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 and any other relevant legislation.
And Terry Walker.
I, Terry Murray Walker, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, in accordance to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of the Whangamatā community the powers, authorities and duties invested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Whangamatā Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meeting Act 1987 and any other act.
Thank you. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the declarations? So that's Dave and Dennis. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None carried. That the Whangamatā Community Board receives the making and attesting of these declarations report dated the 8th of November. Oh, sorry, that was the recommendation that we just done, sorry. Apologies, are there any apologies? There being none. Election of chairperson. Can I have a mover and seconder for resolutions 1 and 2? That the Whangamatā Community Board receives the election of chairperson, deputy chairperson's report dated 13th of October 2022, and 2, approve system B of voting in accordance with the requirements of the Local Government Act 2002, Schedule 7, Clause 25(2). Another mover and seconder, please.
I move that.
Okay, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, I'd like to call nominations to appoint a chairperson for the Whangamatā Community Board.
I nominate Dave Ryan.
Seconder,
I'll second that.
any further nominations? Okay, the Whangamatā Community Board appoints Dave Ryan to the position of chairperson of the Whangamatā Community Board in accordance with the requirements of the Local Government Act 2002, Schedule 7, Clause 37. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None carried. Okay, nominations for deputy chairperson.
I nominate Dennis Beaver.
I see.
Any further nominations? Right, that the Whangamatā Community Board appoints Dennis Beaver to the position of deputy chairperson of the Whangamatā Community Board in accordance with the requirements of the Local Government Act 2002, Schedule 7, Clause 17. All those in favour?
Aye.
All those opposed? None carried.
Good morning. Thank you for the honour that's been bestowed on me. Can I have a mover and a seconder to receive a motion for the general explanation of statutory requirements for elected members? Gary and Terry and Gary, thank you. I call on Alison Hunt, please, to speak. Good morning, Alison.
Through the chair, I am presenting the general explanation of statutory requirements for elected members of the Community Board. This is a requirement under the Local Government Act that does occur at your first meeting. So I'll be running through at a high level some legislation that you will have already become familiar with during your induction process. Some of you have heard this before as well, so more than familiar in most cases. It is required that I go through the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 and introduce that Act and include the Local Authority Members Interest Act, the Crimes Act, Secret Commissions Act and the Financial Markets Conduct Act. Additionally, I will touch on the Protected Disclosures, Protection of Whistleblowers Act, the Public Records Act and the Health and Safety at Work Act. Information is also available in guidance documents and training will be rolled out progressively over the term. So starting with the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act, this is otherwise known as LGOIMA, and it deals with two things, primarily information and meetings. The access to information, that is local authority information, is a key aspect of this Act. The key principle relating to information is that all information held by a local authority should be available to the public unless there is good reason to withhold it, and if it's in the public interest to withhold. Good reasons are contained in the Act. Common examples of withholding grounds are to protect an individual's privacy, avoid disclosure of a trade secret or unreasonable commercial prejudice, maintain confidentiality and to maintain legal privilege. A person requesting information can make a complaint to the Ombudsman if they're dissatisfied with the information they receive and the Council's decisions under the Act to withhold. The authority to make decisions on requests is delegated to the Chief Executive under the Act, and it is sub-delegated to staff to manage. Any information request that you receive should be referred on to the Chief Executive in the first instance. Any information that you have marked public excluded should not be released outside of the meeting concerned. So meetings, relating to meetings, the LGOIMA provides that meetings should be public. The public will only be excluded if there are reasons under Whangamatā for excluding them, and they are similar to the reasons I've just outlined for withholding information. Whangamatā also enables the mayor or chair of the committee to introduce an item on an agenda if there is a clear reason why the item isn't on the agenda and why it cannot wait till the next meeting. Likely this will only relate to major and urgent matters, as minor matters still need to be referred to a subsequent meeting for a resolution and decision on it. Council agenda must be publicly available 2 clear days prior to the council meeting. The Local Authority Members' Interest Act. This act is designed to protect the integrity of local authority decision making and deals with conflicts of interest. There are 2 forms of conflict of interest to touch on: pecuniary interests and non-pecuniary interests. The pecuniary interests are interests involving money either directly or indirectly. You cannot enter into a contract with council worth more than $25,000 unless the Auditor General approves it. Breach of this rule automatically disqualifies the member from office. You cannot participate in matters before the council in which you have a pecuniary interest, other than an interest in common with the public, such as being a ratepayer. Breach of this rule is a criminal offence and results in automatic disqualification from office. Your spouse may hold an interest, or you may have an interest in a family trust, and it is for you to declare an interest to comply with the Act. The Office of the Auditor General produces a booklet to assist members, and I recommend having a look at that document. There is also new amendments to the Local Government Act which are relevant to this interest. A public register of interests to record members' interests will become a requirement after the 20th of November 2022. Members will be required to provide returns to a registrar who will be appointed to keep the register. An interest not involving money is called a non-pecuniary interest, and this type of interest is commonly referred to as bias or predetermination. Bias may exist where, by conduct or by statements, a member may indicate they have predetermined a matter before hearing it, or the member has a close relationship with an individual or organisation affected by the matter. It's the validity of the council's decision or the board's decision that may be at risk, and perception can be an important factor in this particular issue. Turning to the Crimes Act, there are 3 sections of the Crimes Act to bring to your attention: sections 99, 105 and 105A. It is an offence to accept or solicit a bribe or use information obtained in your role for financial gain. Section 99 defines a member as an official for the purposes of offences. The offences are contained in sections 105 and 105A and are punishable by a term of up to 7 years imprisonment. A conviction will disqualify a member from office. The Secret Commissions Act 1910. This act also establishes offences. You are an agent for the purposes of this act. You cannot accept gifts without the consent of the council. You must disclose a pecuniary interest in any contract which you make with council. You must not knowingly deliver a false receipt or invoice in relation to the council's business. Offences under this act are punishable by a term of imprisonment not exceeding 7 years. Financial Markets Conduct Act. This act essentially places elected members in the same position as directors of a company whenever council offers financial products, such as an issue of debt or equity securities. Elected members may be personally liable if documents are registered, such as a product disclosure statement, which contain false or misleading information. The Protected Disclosures Protection of Whistleblowers Act 2022. This is a new act, but it continues the previous act's purpose. If you become aware of serious wrongdoing in the course of your role, you are protected from liability when disclosing that wrongdoing to authorities. Under council's process, the options to report potential wrongdoing include reporting to the council's confidential provider, PwC, the council's manager of people and capability, the group manager corporate services, or to the chief executive. The Public Records Act 2005. This act establishes rules around creating and keeping full and accurate records of council business. It has a role in enhancing public confidence in the integrity of local authority records. Records are widely defined, including a signature, a seal, text, images, sound, speech, or data stored in any device or medium. It is the responsibility of the member to determine if they hold information which is a record under this Act and to ensure that it is included in council's records. If you have information like that, you can forward it to the governance team and they will ensure that it does become part of the record. The Health and Safety at Work Act 2015. Under this Act, the council is the PCBU, the person conducting a business or undertaking. The Act places duties on people who are in the best position to control risks to health and safety as are appropriate in the workplace. For the purposes of this Act, elected members are officers. The elected members in this case, however, includes the mayor and councillors, but excludes community board members. The CE and GMs are also officers, and those officers have obligations of due diligence under that Act. So that concludes the report on the statutory obligations. If there are questions that you wish to raise on any matters related to this, please forward them through to the Chief Executive so that they can be answered fully. And as I mentioned at the start, there will be further training and information rolled out across the term.
Thank you, Alison.
Just got one question for Alison, if you can. So under Whangamatā, they get the information that you put on email. What about social media information?
Social media is often public, but if it is a private message and it is about council business, yes, it is.
It's included in
It
the
is
discovery.
included.
Okay.
Yes.
I put the motion forward that the Whangamatā Community Board receive the general explanation of statutory requirements for elected members 2022 report dated the 8th of November 2022. All those in favour, please say aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have a mover and seconder, please, to receive the motion for Community Board Standing Orders 2022?
You've got to push the button on the side and wait 5 seconds.
You'll hear it.
2022 to 2025, moved by Dennis. Second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you.
So through the chair, let me just so you know that I take that the report's been read and the standing orders just provides the framework for your formal meetings and decision making in accordance with the Local Government Act 2002. The Community Board standing orders have been reviewed and updated in accordance with Local Government New Zealand standards and guidelines.
Thank you. Open for any questions? I put the motion forward that the Whangamatā Community Board receive the Community Board standing orders for 2022 to 2025 term report dated, excuse me, the 8th of November 2022. Adopts the Community Board standing orders as contained in the attachment A of the agenda report, which notes the cast vote is available for use by the chairperson. Audio link and audio visual link is available for use to enable members to join the meeting. The default position for the speaker of moving motions of option C. All those in favour, please say aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Public forum. Welcome to our members for the public forum, and I call upon. I remind the public that they have 5 minutes to speak on items, and the board can only respond to questions to clarify a matter. Robert Austin, on behalf of the Whangamatā ratepayers. Welcome, Rob.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to address the Whangamatā Community Board. Congratulations to everybody in the election and the election of our councillors. Quick apology for the 2 revisions I sent. I made a spelling error and an editing error. The Whangamatā ratepayers is a small group of dedicated committee members. There's only 6 or 7 of us. We have a membership of 117, which, despite strenuous efforts, we trying to grow it and create interest. We remain positive that with the current government's proposed legislation, public interest and militancy will increase during this period, and we're hoping for great participation and engagement. One of our difficulties is, as a community-based organisation, is that of communication, trying to get information out to people. The 117 members we have an email database, but when you think of 117 in the population like this, it's not very good. And we're working hard to try to see how we can improve that. Local community groups such as Lions, Grey Power, Enterprise, Whangamatā, they've all got databases, and we're looking at perhaps extending an opportunity to see if we can combine some of those databases to get information out to potential members. An East Coast Thames Coromandel Ratepayer Association is something that we're really keen to try and establish, and it will be extremely effective. We've got polarising issues such as 3 waters, which have now become 5 waters, as well as the proposed local government reforms. We believe that if ever consensus is needed, we're going to need it before the 28th of February for the submissions for the local government. A question for the community board: has any thought been given to what local government could look like if these reforms were to go through in their present form? Will there be public consultation throughout the region? Will the council be running public consultation, or will it be left to individual groups? Whangamatā Ratepayers is very keen and willing to support any move to improve consultation. The spatial plan that has been mooted, we certainly welcome that initiative and support it. And we came across this report from Whangamatā up in Northland. They've just done a review of their local community, and they're looking at values and priorities. And the interesting information that came back was about the values that they had for their little town, and obviously the beach came out top with the estuary, and then priorities, again, protect the estuary, protect the harbour. These are all things that the Ratepayers Association are keen to be involved with and to try and engage from the community what they believe the values and priorities of this town are. Public consultation is difficult, and I apologise, in your notes it probably says Harbourview Reserve, but consultation, trying to get information to the community about what council and what people are proposing is very difficult, and there are ways that we can improve that. We have a suggestion that perhaps a community hall, a community stall at the Harbourview Reserve with perhaps some support from the community board, which would allow organisations like ours and Grey Power, Coast Guard, all of those groups to be able to give out flyers, hand out information, put up notices to say this is what's been proposed, just to try to get that information out there to, particularly to out of town people. Mangroves, the Ratepayers is a founding member and contribution to the Whangamatā Combined Community Group, and mainly through the efforts of John Spencer, who works tirelessly to keep WRC on task on the management of mangroves. So it's pleasing that, and encouraging that the community board and councillors are continuing to press the WRC, particularly over that letter of intent, which was agreed by with the Waikato Regional Council and the TCDC. So we're very encouraged by that. And we're also very encouraged by a response we had from Warren Mather, our WRC representative, about where we are with the mangroves and the regional council. Lindsay Road, the feasibility study is operating for those of you who know a little bit about that. Our second meeting is on the 6th of December. It's at 3 o'clock in the Whango Club. You're more than welcome to come. Adele Atfield of Veros is facilitating that. A question about rates equity. Rates paid in this region as against rates coming back. It's a common question we get asked of ratepayers, and the community board planning and intending to address what is perceived as a disparity between what this community pays in rates and what comes back to the region. Oceania mining, this came up just recently, and the likely effects on the Wentworth Valley and the surrounding environment due to the work that's coming up. Reefton gold mining, I believe now have put an application into mining that area. A recent item came up the other day about dog control. It was brought to us from Graham Webb regarding doggerels mainly. It's dogs on the beach. It's an annual thing that comes up, particularly busy times of the year in the doggerel nesting season. Steady number of increasing dogs on the beach exercising at the moment. Consideration perhaps to some sort of beach ambassador's role with local volunteers to walk along the beach at peak times, just prompting positive messages to dog owners regarding nesting doggerels, picking up poo, handing out dog bags, reminding dog walkers of times that they're allowed on the beach in summer and so on. Whangamatā ratepayers seeking assurance from the community board and ratepayers that ratepayers and residents' interests are directed to council officials when identifying projects and public works requiring ratepayer funding. It's really just a follow-on from the Esplanade and all the work that went on there and how far it got down the track, and now it sounds as though it's probably not going to go ahead. and it seems quite a lot of money. And then finally, the next ratepayers management meeting takes place on the 10th of December at 11 o'clock. It's a public meeting in the Whangamatā Club. We've asked Warren Maher from the Waikato Regional Council to come along and talk to people about major issues affecting the region from a regional council's perspective. That's all I had. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Rob?
Welcome back, Rob.
Graham Smith, Graham, would you like to speak? Graham's going to speak on behalf of the community swimming.
Thanks, Dave. And congratulations, well, thanks for the opportunity to speak today. Congratulations to the newly elected community board members and to those that are re-elected on a council basis. Yeah, let's hope that the next 3 years can be innovative, exciting, and we can tick some things off the box. So yes, this presentation is a little bit more comprehensive than the last presentation. So it outlines, hopefully you've all got a document of this, so it outlines pretty much how the winter season went for us at the swimming pool. It was a bit of a toss of the dice to understand, how the public would respond to that. Comprehensively, we had 5,872 swims. That was from May the 2nd when we commissioned the heat pumps through to the 21st of October. So, yeah, I think we were pretty happy with that. And then we looked at Labour weekend, for instance. Yeah, traditionally a fairly quiet time because it was the beginning of the season. You can see there that last year we had 415 swims and this year we had 1,174. So the pool's getting used and that's what, the community wanted. And, the installation of the heat pumps provided the impetus for this all to happen. So, yeah, we're pretty pleased. So, yeah, I guess in the winter, it could be a drizzly rainy day and then there was people lane swimming and often there was 2 people swimming in one lane. That's how busy it was. So it was really great to see. So yeah, we've got an indication of prices there. We've got some hours indicated and once again, we tweak the hours to suit the public demand. So yeah, it's really good. So once again, with staffing, we've got some regulars that come back to help with the busy season. The likes of surf club staff and Taylor, who's a young girl that's studying, in the South Island for a couple of different degrees. And then more importantly, Rob Boston here, Sally Golders and Kevin Thorburn have completed a pool lifeguard course and have filled in as required on a voluntary basis. So, these people are really mucking in and helping, when they need to. So it's great to see. So hopefully we're looking to train another 3 volunteer lifeguards so that we can assist because we really think that this, with the advertising and promotion that we've done, that this season's going to be really busy coming summer. So thanks to the community board also for the community grant that enabled us to get some inflatables, because if you do go down there on a Saturday afternoon, you'll see throughout the week, you'll see the kids having so much fun. And so they tell their mates, and it's a neat attraction for them to be there. And of course, with the lifeguards, it's all safe. So swimming lessons are underway. Last year, Monique had 38 kids. This year, 72. So, all things are moving in the right direction. The pool temperature, we're looking at maybe just tweaking that a fraction. After half an hour, the kids get sort of a little bit cold at 27. So 27.5 is being mooted. So we'll just monitor that. The area school, they didn't use the pool, obviously, in the winter because they didn't have that structure set up. So in terms 2 to 3, it was mainly due to budgetary constraints. So we're looking forward maybe to accommodating them next winter. But in term 4, the school is now using the pool Monday to Friday and numbers vary between 60 to 140 every day. So, it's all happening. PowerCo sponsorship provided funding to run a water safe program. So 280 Whangamatā area school students have access to coaches who facilitate this program. The response from students, parents and teachers has been overwhelming. So all good stuff. Swimming club, they've kicked in for term 4 swimming lessons, even in the winter. Although numbers died off, the swimming training was always full. Aqua aerobics, Rob's wife, took care of that when she was here, but during Rob and Denise's departure, we were able to score another lady to fill in, but now Denise is back on deck, so that's all good. Like other users for the pool, this was really interesting. Dive Zone from Whitianga had 5 bookings over winter, taking students through a diving course. The squad from Caddy drove over every Sunday to train. The holiday program which took place in mid-winter, and that was the holiday program which took place in mid-year school holidays. So YE squad were interested on Sunday, so however they only managed 1 swim due to health issues with the club. So surf clubs, only Mana, Whiritoa and Whangamatā are all booking for the summer. So just the positives. I just briefly want to touch on the positive. We've got the signage now at the both ends of town. Summer bookings are already well in excess of last year. All 3 local surf clubs, like I said, only Mana, Whiritoa and Whangamatā have confirmed bookings. Now, the installation of the heat pumps has proved to be a positive attribute to the pool and has exceeded our expectations for the winter, as I've suggested. So we've got a really proactive lady who comes from a marketing background, who's our secretary. So we're in the very final stages of completing our marketing plan for the next 2 years. So that's so satisfying, and it's been great to be part of that. She's a lovely lady, and she brings such a necessary skill to the pool complex. So it gives us an opportunity to get the word out in different mediums and different advertising opportunities. So just sort of summarising, we commissioned a motto consultancy who identified what we needed to do, to the pool complex. So one of the recommendations was that of obtaining pool safe accreditation. So we're well on our way to achieving this. In addition, there are recommendations as to the ongoing management, upkeep, and long-term maintenance for the pool and equipment. So yeah, we're just trying to commission the right people to give the right plan moving forward. So just from a planning perspective, stage 1, we've been working with Peter Hill Engineering and South Pacific Enclosures for the Learn to Swim therapeutic pool. So we are going to need to do some fundraising applications to be submitted to lotteries, because there's going to be some specific items that we need to be taken care of, and that's baby changing facilities and there's a disability hoist, etc. So construction, ideally, the plan is to proceed this year, once we're already engaging with Peter Hill, who's the pool expert. So yeah, the motto report identified several areas in the main pool for refurbishment. These include replacing deck tiles, addressing some leaks on the pool deck, replacing expansion joints and painting as part of the refurbishment. So it is agreed permanent starting block should be installed. Time's up. Yeah, so thanks guys. So yeah, in summary, we're working towards getting solar heating that will provide power. A sad night, Monique is actually going to be leaving at the end of the season, so we'll be looking for another manager. So that gives us an opportunity really to commission somebody, hopefully with her skills. So thank you so much, everybody, for your time. If the new people need additional information, We're quite happy to help where we can at the information centre. Please call in. We want to provide you with phone numbers or, people that you can contact. So we're only too pleased to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Helen, good morning. Just thank you. So I do apologise. I have to get back to Auckland for something that's rained 3 months ago and I can't get out of it. So fortunately, continue, please. Sorry.
Helen's going to talk on behalf of the Resource Recovery Trust community.
Good morning. Lovely to see you all. Welcome. Congratulations for your success on the committee board. So just a quick overview of some of you know pretty much already, but the Resource Recovery Trust, we were formed in 2020. We have 4 trustees and we're soon to have 5. Our target is our prime target. Hopefully you saw the strategy come through for you to read.
Yep.
Our prime target is a reuse and repair centre alongside some other groups on the community hub at 101 Lindsay Road. That's our target. And that 101 Lindsay Road site has been identified and we're working through feasibility study workshops. In the meantime, we're focused on activities which are less dependent on space to work from because we barely have any. We do have a van, a small lock-up, thanks to a grant from the Len Reynolds Trust, which allowed the purchase of the van, rental of the lock-up, and peripheral activities. So that's been fantastic. It's mean we're not sitting on our hands waiting for the processes to go through. We've built an effective relationships, we feel, with all of our stakeholders, and that includes a good number of the public and a good number of businesses. And we are working on approaching all businesses to find out how we can help them reduce the waste stream, recycle what they can't keep, and all those sort of things. So we're connecting with many local businesses, local people through community groups, local people through social media, local people through our activities, and we're getting very positive feedback about the strategy. We have begun to deliver workshops and will continue to do so when we have the skills appropriate and presentations. So we're here for any groups that want to come want us to come and talk to them about how we view waste reduction initiatives and how people can locally do something and not just throw their hands up in despair and say, I can't do anything. We've launched, supported the introduction of kitchen scraps for community compost project, which was our first project. It's only a small scale, but it has helped show the community that they can do something. They don't have to have a scary compost bin or wind farm in their garden. We can do something about kitchen scraps. We've got 11 locations with 7 accessible composts and wind farms. So that's going very well. But we're delighted to know that the council is actually going to be moving forward on curbside next year with the new contractor. A soft plastics recycling project was launched after a lot of discussion with us in soft plastics recycling nationally in the Seagull Centre in Thames, and we've been able to have installed locally 3 bins for people to put soft plastics in for recycling, and that's going very well, I believe. I also visit a lot of businesses and ask what they have, go and throw away, and then see if we can help you know, keep it out of the waste stream. So soft plastics often comes up with packaging, etc. We're a regular e-waste collection project. We started off with a really big one last December, resulted in 26 pallets of e-waste being taken across to the recycling business, and now we're just doing a regular sort of mini e-waste one at the community market once a month. So, which is all we can do with our storage capabilities, etc. And the domestic battery recycling service, Bunnings put in a great bin for everyday domestic recycling, but we're also going to add on to our e-waste at the market. So we have a lot more to do. There's so much more we can do, but future initiatives are going to require a site to operate from to be effective. So we're working at the little stuff, but we have a whole lot more that we want to do, and we feel that the whole community will really benefit from it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question through the chair?
Sure.
Yeah. The soft plastics, fantastic idea. What happens to them?
It goes off to soft plastics recycling. It goes first to Thames Seal Centre, which is a central just collection point for the Coromandel, and then it goes on to soft plastic recycling.
And the other question around the compost, do you sell your compost?
No, but we've been providing. No, it's generally just used in local gardens.
Right.
We haven't got it to that stage, but we help people if they've got a request for some more tea and stuff like that. Another thing that's on the horizon is liquid paper board, which is actually the containers that hold like milks and juices, the cardboard container. So Safeboard is a company that's converting that into a commercial wallboard. So we, with Thames and Whitting and us, we very close, I think, to getting some sort of recycling thing going there. But again, it requires some space and facilities. So, you know, some of these things are frustrated by that, the lack of that still.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks very much. Are you aware of any other people in the public? Thank you. Can I have a mover and seconder, please, to receive the motion that the Whangamatā Community Board receives Helen McKay, Rob Boston and Graham Smith as speakers of the public forum, including any table material or correspondence?
Yeah, I know.
I'll second. All those in favour? Carried. Conflicts of interest. Any members have a conflict of interest that they wish to declare? Any items not on the agenda? If there are any items to be added to the agenda, non-move to the next item.
You don't need to read it. It's just.
Headline Road cycleway. Update, and that's Derek.
Good morning, board. Congratulations on your election. Through the chair, if I can take the report as read, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Any questions for Ed in relation to the cycleway report? I've taken to you already.
Mr. Chairman, Neil Evans, I would like to see an investigation of the minimum that would be required, because when I read the report, it seemed very comprehensive in terms of engineering, smoothing out bumps, all of that sort of thing, which added to a lot of expense. And
we must not forget the purpose, which is to get mountain bikers to their mountain bike park. And mountain bikers, I'm sure, don't need if you like, the Rolls Royce version of a method to get there. So I would like to see a report on what the minimum you could do. And from my perspective, the safety aspect is probably going to be around the bridge and having that sorted with a clip on or something. And then, you know, just the rest of it can be just kind of a dirt path as far as I'm concerned. And I would expect mountain bikers would be quite happy with that, because after all, they go to a dirt park anyway.
Through the chair, if I may, if the purpose of the path is solely to serve the mountain bike park, I would have to seek clarification on whether that could be supported. My understanding is that this was sold as a cycleway, which would be a shared path which would be used for community use, not specifically to provide access to the mountain bike park.
But its destination was there, wasn't it?
Again, the destination that we have in the report actually provides a community facility that links through to potential access from State Highway 25. If this was solely to provide access to the mountain bike park, it could be seen as promoting a commercial enterprise. I do not, I have concerns that if we do that, then this may be a situation where the community board could be seen as promoting a recreational facility against potentially what could be seen as community usage of a shared cycle path along Hetherington Road.
Ed, Terry Walker here. It a bit surprised me what you've said there. The whole purpose of this has been a trial between the connection of town and the mountain bike park. And we also are trying to get a connection from Whangamatā to the mountain bike park, and also from a poetry down the track. So these are all about what we're supporting is the mountain bike park as an attraction to town to attract visitors and usage by the community as a facility that adds value to the town economically. So you might see this as commercial activity. This is providing a safe access way to the park. And after reading the document and saying it doesn't align with Whakakotahi's current trails per se, so it's not turning into a trail. Obviously, it's always been a trail, a safe access way from town to the mountain bike park at free entry. What I'm concerned about here is that extending the path on the right-hand side, it does mix it up with walking people and things like that, and we were trying to get this as a cycle way that can go either way, as a safe access way. Have you got a different opinion on that?
Through the chair, I have to say that yes, I must have a different opinion on that. If we are to promote this as a cycleway, it should be suitable for use by all members of the public, not just members seeking access to the mountain bike park. If we are to pursue this, you've mentioned there are 2 other tracks that have not previously been mentioned. This again leads me to believe that there is a potential for a much bigger network of cycleways through the Whangamatā area that hasn't been previously considered. if that's the case, I again would have to go back to my original recommendation that this is examined as part of a long-term plan proposal and that there's full public consultation on it in accordance with the Local Government Act.
We're trying to get a cycle strategy here like Whangamatā, and they've provided that document to us to look at. And we're trying to get a cycle strategy for the town, but this is a particular project because we're supporting the mountain bike park through grants currently to support that project, getting some traction to bring economic value to town. We think it is a class 1 project for the town. It's supported as the #1 project for Destination Coromandel for the town, and it's supported by the other cycling destinations around the Coromandel. So it has had some energy and promotion. All we're trying to do is get access to it, and it can be accessed by other people along the way, either way, it's no trouble. But we want to get kids, parents and families to the park in a safe manner.
Through the chair, I acknowledge what you're saying. My concern is that the potential costs for this are, as you can see from the report, quite high. Even if we were to go down the investigation of lower cost options, it would still be outside of the budget that's allowed by the community board. As such, it should go through the long-term plan process with full public consultation, which at this moment in time has failed to occur.
And can I just say that my biggest concern is the safety on the causeway itself, and even to get that extension so that we can avoid cyclists having to ride across the bridge at the same time. A number of people have said their concerns about cycling across there, particularly with the heavy motor vehicles in that are travelling through to service the town area. Is there a possibility that we could look at this stage definitely to extend the footbridge on the northern side of the causeway to take vehicles over there and then process from there, maybe on the long-term plan?
Through the chair, yes, we've already looked at that as part of this investigation. The investigation itself has been fairly detailed. We've identified that in order to get the bridge extension, the clip-on that's been proposed, there would be a need for environmental consents, regional council consents. This again would be in excess of the budget that's been allowed by the community board, and again is a potential project that should have full public consultation.
I respect what you say in relation to that, but if we don't start that consultation, we're not going to get anywhere, are we? It's just going to go on and on. So,
yeah, through the chair, I'd be quite happy to support consultation on the process to ensure that we do comply with the Local Government Act.
Sure.
And can I just talk about the regional council? Because the clip-on bridge is above the water, do they get connected into this? I don't understand where they fit into this.
Through the chair, the bridge is within a coastal environment. The clip-on would require works within that coastal environment and would require links to the existing road at either end. That would require resource consent from the regional council.
Yeah, but do you see that an issue? It's above the waterline, the high water line.
I would not be able to say that it would not be an issue. We've already identified that there are endangered species, as we've noted in the report, in that area. The regional council may require quite detailed environmental statements on any works in that area as part of any resource consent.
So one of the issues that I'd like to discuss is I can't see why we can't look at getting a trail on the left-hand side going out towards the State Highway 25. There's room for that. We've walked out and looked at it. and look at the clip-on options and see where they, financially, where they come into it. And obviously have to go through some consenting. Why can't we start this project off? Why do you want it to go to the long-term plan to start it off with?
Through the chair, my concern is that if we start this process without public consultation, we may be in breach of the Local Government Act requirements.
So what's consultation? Is $5 million is the public engagement figure, unless it's got extensive district-wide engagement issues? Is this, as you see, hits the engagement policy?
That's what I perceive, yes. As I say, I would be quite happy to support public engagement in this outside of the LTP process and public consultation. But at the moment, my understanding is that that hasn't occurred.
Local consultation.
But that's correct, yes.
So can we start that process? Yeah.
I believe, yes, through the chair, I believe that we can start public engagement. That's certainly within the remit. We have sufficient information now to provide that information to the public together with costs. From that, we can look at the potential rates impact on the local community for this full project. And if there are two other schemes as well that we wish to consider, I'd suggest that this is actually an ideal time to consult on it.
Thank you.
So through your chair, I just wanted to back up what you're saying. In terms of formal engagement, that would be an LTP process, but in terms of just getting feedback from your communities, that's something that we can do straight away and inform, so that gives us a platform for the LTP consultation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can I suggest that the first part simply be an exploration as to the cheapest, most practical bridge, because that's the key problem at the moment.
Yeah.
Rather than having a large whole big plan, let's just do, hey, we want to make a safer bridge to get people from A to B. And so what I'd be looking at is the minimum standard of extra bridge and get that process underway. What is the requirement in terms of procedure to get that part of our project accomplished?
Through the chair, I believe that the costs for the bridge are detailed in the submission.
450,000, I think.
That
Is that the cheapest bridge?
That is the cheapest bridge, yes.
Okay. Well, how do we get that started?
So we, first of all, let's do the public discussion and see that they are in favour of it.
Yeah.
And then we go from there as to what happens. But from the local discussions that I've had with a number of people, they are in favour of the extension because of safety on that bridge.
It's been an issue for the last 2 or 3 years that we've discussed this. And you're looking for consultation, we'll certainly go to get the consultation, but the feeling from the community is very strong that they want this. And we'll provide that information to you. But we need to now look at the numbers, Ed, because, I'm sure that we can put a lower than 1.8 wide concrete path out to at least the State Highway 25, and then talk about how we secure that left-hand lane out there with some, I don't know, I've seen what they do at Copa, where they stick those little markers along the side of the road and keep the distance between parts. We'll worry about that later, but we at least need to get this moving and get the traction on it from here out to at least State Highway 25. So I think that's the direction we're going, but look at the bridge first. See where the money is.
There are a number of people there from Moana House that come through in their motorised carriages to get into town, and it is very narrow for them. And the part about it is they have to cross from Moana House, cross 25. Then they've got to cross over to the other side of Hetherington Road to come through. And when it gets to the bridge, it's particularly narrow with people walking on it. And then if they want to go into the shops or to the doctors, they again have to cross the road again to come through even the shortest route, which would be in the reserve, to go through to the supermarket or to the doctors. So, you know, you're asking, or you're not asking, but we are asking people to make unsafe crossings across the main road, when in fact, some of the footpath already exists before the 25, and it would only be a matter, once the bridge is done, to extend it a very short distance to at least cover those people and then go from there on.
Through the chair, I'm aware of the issues with disabled access, and if I may, that is one of the reasons why I believe that we should be looking at this to serve the community, not just the mountain bike park.
Sure, sure. Dean.
Yeah, just through the chair, what I'm sort of hearing here is that there probably needs to be a little bit more work done. So it sounds as though we could go out and ask for feedback from the community as to whether they were just after a bridge solution or whether they wanted a wider network and explore how wide that network would be. And then based on that feedback, you'd be in a good position to then make your case towards the LTP about a staged approach to whatever you were looking to achieve. So I don't know if that's sort of what we wanted to go. That's sort of what I'm hearing.
I believe that's where they want to go. Has anybody got that first?
I was going to question. So we've got this great plan drawn up with this concrete thing all the way out there. If there's been no public consultation, how did we get to this? Well, who's, you know, obviously I'm new to this, but who came up with this great design and how we wanted it to go, where it started and where it finished? If it's not a mountain bike park track, what's it finish at the mountain bike park?
No. So there's a working group developed, put together, and included Diane Drummond, who's the Hauraki Trail Director, Manager, and Blake Cropp, who's the head of the mountain bike, president of the mountain bike club, and Dave and I under the old committee as a working group, and we sat down and we discussed and walked the trail and came up with what we thought was the best options going forward, and developed that into a plan, and then Ed's taken it away and come back with some numbers on it, which is frightening, but we now need to understand what it's there, there's the purpose for it, which I do now, and
I think it's the first thing.
and understand that this is an access way. It doesn't fit the trails idea for the cities and things like that. That Ed's come back and said it doesn't even meet that criteria. And what it started off as being an access way safe access way between town and the mountain bike park.
Yeah, so I expected to open it would be something similar to going into Wentworth, which is a line track, which is well used by all users. That's I thought we were getting
a gravel track.
Yeah, or gravel or line, which I suppose, like you say, now it's out to the public consultation where it ends.
With the group that was formed, it was the intention to get it to a stage where consultation could give people an idea as to cost, etc., and then ask them, this is what is intended. Do you support this?
Okay, so you'll come up with the Rolls Royce plan, but obviously we can come down a few levels if we need to.
Yeah, well, that's only we. All right, Ed, thank you. Have you got anything else you want clarified, Ed, or we proceed with getting that submission done to the public for their thoughts?
No, I believe that that's fine.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ed?
Well, can we get advice on whether we do need the consenting and what levels to go across the bridge would be a good thing as well, so we can take that to a public meeting. Without that, once again, we've probably got no information until the public.
It just through the chair, this happened with another board meeting as well. Just a reminder that you also have some community networking times available to you, which is where the board informally gets to go and look at projects, get some briefings on the background to things, explore those types of things. So it could be that you maybe might want to hear more from Ed in that type of setting as a board, and that will help you determine what those exact next steps were. Just putting that out there as a solution.
I think because of the new people, we've got to be brought up to speed where it would be a great idea.
Well, I think we need a motion on the books to move this forward, though. That's what we're looking for.
We need to-
We need that motion on the floor. So we'd like some discovery work around resource consents and the building of options for the bridge out to at least state I-25. I think we can't do any further than that at the moment because that's Whangamatā, a whole lot of another discussion goes on.
Okay, so are you moving that?
I'd like to move that we do that, yeah.
Can you pull the resolution up, Donna, so we can have a look at it? Thank you.
So move that we start an investigation into the resource consenting and look at the.
Oh, can you?
Just get in there. So I've just put something together, but Ed, you might need to guide us here as the report writer. Recommends to council that further investigations, consent requirements, building options for the bridge and public consultation are undertaken and report back to the board at a future meeting.
Yeah.
Yes. Further, it should be the further investigations on consent requirements. On, not in.
So
On consent requirements, building options for the bridge and public consultation. That. Yes, I believe that should be sufficient.
So you move that and seconder?
You would have to remove the option 2 that is down below.
yeah.
Because
We haven't got round to that yet, Ed. Give us a chance. But yes, that would be deleted.
yeah,
Community.
Sorry, everything's in the tables.
No. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So the suggested resolution is as shown on the board.
Sorry, just through the chair, the word consultation, it'd be better if it was engagement, because there's lots of different forms of engagement. Consultation is very specific, and that would be when you go out with the LTP, you'd be consulting, whereas if you were seeking feedback, it's slightly different. So
do you want the word changed or both included?
Should
Yes,
say community engagement.
Yeah, community engagement.
it's
Okay, cool. All right. So all in favour of the submission, say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you, Ed, for your help on that.
Thank you.
CapEx work programme. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please, for the CapEx work programme?
I'll move that.
Thank you. Seconder? Thank you. The speaker to the report is Andrew Bowden.
Good morning, board. Not Andrew Bowden. It's me, Bruce Hinson. So Andrew's not able to present this, so I'm stepping in and presenting it for him. So good morning, everyone. For anyone who haven't met, I'm Bruce Hinson, the Group Manager for Operations at the Council. Andrew is in my team, so I'm happy to present the report today. Happy to answer any questions. Things are starting to move on the CapEx program, as you'll see, but we do have challenges, as everyone does, around supply chain disruption, cost escalations, contractor availability, etc. But the team are working hard to try and keep things moving for the community. So I'm happy to take any questions.
You can't ask him any questions. He's got. You're under the gun, Bruce. So just carry on the good work.
Thank you, Councillor Walker.
It's just in relation to the dump station, the changing of the dump station, Bruce, from Martin Road to Aiken Road.
Yes.
Is there any time span or anything for that, or is approvals been given for it to be shifted?
Yeah, so there's no specific approvals required really. And I know that initially we were trying to get it done before Christmas, but I'm pretty sure that the time frame, and I can go and double check on this, the time frame is going to be after the peak period now for that. So it's a lot more work than what it may seem. And so yeah, so the things are just a little bit more challenging to get done than what we might like. So I'm pretty sure, unfortunately, that'll be after the peak period. So we'd wait till kind of February, March before we try and get that one done. So, but I'll double check on that and come back to the board.
Thank you.
I can just comment in on that, Bruce. The 3 toilet facilities have ended up having some surplus money. And
Right.
while we haven't got a budget for the dump station, we were going to look at that money to help the dump station project.
Yes.
Move it across, but also there was some work around the skate bowl toilets, the tanks there getting painted, work out just to tidy those tanks up around there. There's some water tanks next door to it.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. I know the ones.
But the other thing was too that the the New Zealand Caravan Association, whatever it's called,
Yes.
is prepared to provide that dump station unit and instructions. So I think that's really important that we hang in there.
Yeah, definitely. That is good. And we've used their units for a couple of the other sites around the district. So definitely on that page, Terry. Yep.
Okay, thank you. And the other query I had, Bruce, was in relation to the money to be spent on the stormwater system, etc. How long before that kicks in? Because we, as you know, the Friday before last, I think it was, we had that flooding and we went to the same places for the same flooding again.
Yeah, and nothing's kind of made its way back to me regarding how bad that was, Mr. Chair. But yeah, I don't have any more update. Apologies on where the actual time frame is with that, apart from that we've said we're going to get it done by the end of the financial year, which I think is noted in the comment around that stormwater improvement study. But what I'll do is I'll double check with the project engineer who's looking after that one and get a date on or get you a few more updates on some of the milestones as we're moving forwards.
And the other thing was that the local people with local knowledge are included in relation to that plan.
Yes.
Bruce,
yep.
For that.
Yeah, no problem. They're definitely useful to plug into that local knowledge. Definitely don't want to miss that.
Thank you. Anything else on the CapEx that anybody wants to ask Bruce upon? Okay, thank you, Bruce, for doing that. I move the motion that the Whangamatā Community Board receives the Whangamatā Community Board CapEx work program for 2022-2023 reported date of the 31st of October. All in favour?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you, Bruce. We are now on to discretionary funding and we have 2 requests for that. So I ask for a move and second for this motion.
Sorry, what's the motion?
Sorry?
What's the motion?
For the discussion on discretionary funding.
Okay. Yeah.
Dennis, you move it? Yes. Second, please.
Aye.
Neil, seconds. Thank you. Eileen, you wish to?
So I'll take the report has been read. Has the board got any questions regarding this application?
Yeah, I have some matters I want to discuss on that. So we're talking about the poultry hall.
Yes.
My view is that I would not approve of the full amount. The reason being is I think when you have there's more engagement with the community of a poultry also funds some of their own requirements. And I think, for example, having worked with lots of charities and groups like that, the $1,600 for the laptop, I don't see that as important. There's bound to be somebody who has a laptop that can just simply add their community poultry hall stuff onto their own laptop. I wouldn't fund the outdoor gazebo at this stage simply because, if you're providing tables and chairs for inside, that should be sufficient. Again, plenty of organisations, there's always somebody who can bring a gazebo along if they need a gazebo. Personalised labour stickers and stamps, yeah, same thing. So I would, and look, don't think that I'm a stingy person, but the fact is we're dealing with not our money. If I wouldn't do it, why should the council do it? Is my view. So I would rather suggest that a figure of $5,000 be granted to the poetry for people. And the other thing is there's no mention of membership. I've got no idea of how many people are involved.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I got the same voice as member Neil over here, Evans, regarding the financials. Could I ask through the area manager, does she see any areas of concern for herself that maybe the hall we should look at?
I can't really answer that.
Nothing there. Okay, I'll ask them. So I agree that the laptop, these are issues that I'm sure we already given them $5,000 in terms of a funding grant, don't we?
Yes.
But this is on top of the $5,000 we give them. So I'm looking at some of these numbers here and thinking that these things can wait, and if as they get down the track and become more financial or more growing memberships, they can look at these things in the future. So yeah, I don't go for the 60 chair business. I like the trestles and chairs, fair enough to go in the hall, that's fine. If some cleaning supplies, maybe. Fire extinguishers, certainly. I think we should just go through it line by line and make some decisions on it. The gazebo, no. The portable 8 water litre urn, fair enough. Personal labour stickers, $180 seems excessive in my mind. So there's some work to be done here. I think we should go through this in a bit of detail and be mindful that they are a new committee starting up and it's getting themselves going, but they really need to prove themselves, and they've had some backing, and we've spent $50,000 doing up the hall for them. So we really want this committee to work, but we wanted to see some commitment as well.
So when you say there's more discussion, do you want to do that discussion?
Well, I don't know what the rest of the board members are feeling, but I'm feeling around about $4,000 is about what I see as about where I'm sitting at the moment. And that's being generous, but I'm happy to hear this go before we make some.
So did you want to go through all these line by line?
Yeah, well, I'm happy to do that.
What they want to fund? Okay, so do you want to fund the laptop?
No.
No. Do you want to fund the whole website?
No, it's just local knowledge.
Accounting and qualified accountant services.
Yeah, well, that's an opportunity. I don't know how much actual accounting they would have in a year. Give us an idea. Is this might be a power bill or two? I don't think there's a lot in there. So no.
No. Full mailbox numbers and key lock box.
What's that for?
Okay.
Their mail as well as a lock
I think
box on
that's
the
right.
outside for the key.
That's where the key gets in, the wire.
Get the key.
You
So-
approve that?
Yeah.
Approve that?
Yeah.
Okay, the trestle tables,
Yeah, fine. Yeah, they need that.
the chairs,
No, they don't need 60 chairs.
Well, you need some.
Well, you need furniture, if they replace it.
Well, I've got 8 trestle tables and 8. There's 16. What's that? 8 trestle tables and.
And 64. So
You need some.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty small committee up there. I don't know.
I was in favour for the chairs because it's for events and that, you need the furniture. That was my thought.
Just if I can interrupt the process, Mr. Chairman, by going through it line by line, we are kind of identifying for them what we like, what their priorities might be different. And I'm wondering if we just fix on a dollar amount and then they can just put that where they want, rather than us saying, well, we don't like this, we don't like that. They might say, well, we've got $4,000, let's spend it on a laptop, let's spend it on something else, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to tell them what to spend it on. We're just going to end up with a number, aren't we?
so,
Well, we're just going to come up with a number.
Yeah.
yeah, so for grants, though, you generally like for even for community grants, you normally say what the grant money is for, because they have to come back with statutory declaration
Oh,
to
okay.
say that they have spent that money on what it was granted for.
Right, okay.
So that will give us an idea of the monetary amount.
Yes, okay, okay, that helps me understand, thank you, Mr.
So, yeah, okay, so you support the chairs?
I was in favour of the change, yeah.
Okay,
What, 60? Yeah, oh,
it's a lot of chairs, but anyway.
Okay, cleaning supplies,
No, I think from the $5,000, I've got money to clean it.
fire extinguisher.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Outdoor gazebo,
No.
the urn and tablecloths,
Yeah.
the personalised stickers, and the koha.
So the koha, tell me about that. Have they got a kaumata tour that's going to do the opening, obviously? Is that what it says there? Does kaumata time and expense?
I would be.
So if that's part of the deal for that, I don't know that that's part of the deal.
So the $100 in or out?
If it's part of the, what that follows, yeah.
Okay, if my maths is correct, that's 4,450.
okay. 4,460? 50. Okay, so
That's my maths correct, I will double check.
so we received a request for the discretionary fund from Okotoki, so I asked that we move the request be accepted and that the approval grant be given for a sum of 4,450 for the 2022-2023 discretionary fund for the community hall to provide furnishings to the hall and hall booking system. All those in favour say aye.
No, where's the guns? Excuse me, I'm wondering, it's not actually the whole booking system, it's taking the computer out, so it's
Yeah.
it's the functions.
Just the first part of it, I think the whole facilities, take that last line out. So funds for the whole, what do you say, whole, equipment, facilities,
Provide furnishings for the hall.
furnishings for the hall, yeah.
Yeah, and leave it at that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All in favour of that, say aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. The next request is from Whangamatā Real Estate. I ask for a move and second for this motion.
I'm happy to move.
I'll second.
Okay, so once again, I'll have the report that's being read. Have members got any questions?
Yeah, again, same kind of philosophy, really. I would knock 1,200 off immediately because, you know, if you're going to have a community involvement, there ought to be a voluntary centre. You know, paying $1,200 for a centre seems a bit over the top. I'm sure there'd be some local person who'd be willing to.
Yeah, and I think they've got a centre now too, so most of it was over here, taking up the role apparently.
Oh, okay. So, you know, so yeah, again, as I said, that was the main thing that I objected to.
I think the project itself, sorry, through the chair, yeah, there's a good project. It just adds to the Christmas parade, there's something to add on to the end of it. Yeah, it's good. Spoken to Sarah at length, but I think Dennis and Dave have been to a meeting, so yeah, so let's see what they think.
I asked a question at the meeting, what Whangamatā Real Estate were putting into this towards the expenditure, and Sarah has come back with an expenditure covered by them of $3,548.15. And that covers a lot of marketing and the setup expenses, the centre backdrop, etc. But the expenses yet to be paid for was the prize money for the floats and the prizes for the quickfire raffle. So I agree that their original request for 4,000 could possibly be reduced.
Very nice to speak on that too. So I was at the meeting as well, Dave. For me, I like this idea. I think it's a great community event which involves all ages right through. Yeah, Whangamatā Real Estate's stepping up to put it on, but any money made out of it goes towards the surf club. So once again, a great event to help support the community. They're not doing it to make any money themselves. Yeah, so I actually support the full event, the full amount for myself.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I agree that if the money's going to go to the surf club after, it's just money going around. So yeah, I support it.
Right, all in favour of the amount of $4,000 to be paid, please say aye. Against? Carried.
As long as the weather's fine.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You guarantee that.
Not later.
Is there any gaps? Yeah, it's good.
Oh, thank you. The next item is the 2023-2024 annual plan, and I ask for a move and seconder for that to be discussed. And Mark and Ed. No, not Ed.
Yeah, so the board, thanks for receiving this report. This report has come from Kate Lewis, the corporate performance lead, in Leslie Lives's team, who's the policy manager. But unfortunately, both of them are away, so I'll be presenting a report for you. The report is about the 23-24 annual plan, but it also set out the sort of the time frame around the long-term plan and the planning cycle as well. So just some background, our current long-term plan was adopted in late June last year, taking effect from the 1st of July 21, which was the start of this current financial year. So a long-term plan covers 10 years and gets reviewed every 3 years. Year one of the long-term plan already includes the detailed annual plan information for that year. But in year 2 and 3 of the long-term plan, then council must adopt an annual plan. And that gives us the ability to adjust budgets as required each year. So when those adjustments are considered significant against what was forecast in the LTP, then the annual plan needs to be consulted upon. So just about this current long-term plan, in the first year, 21-22, we had COVID lockdown, supply chain issues and demand issues, and that impacted on the delivery of the capital expenditure program, and that's had a flow-on effect for year 2. The year 2 of the long-term plan, which is 22-23, our current financial year, the annual plan was able to reflect some of those flow-on effects from the capital expenditure program. And also an inflation increase higher than what was forecast. And then for year 3 of the long-term plan, which is next financial year, so that's 23-24, we will also be adopting an annual plan. And then, of course, in year 4, it all starts again with a new LTP. So thinking about the 23-24 annual plan consultation topics, those topics that are different to the LTP and may need to be consulted upon. So we've already identified some likely topics. The main one is the changes to the solid waste curbside pickup and collection service, and discussing with the community how that will be funded. There will also be an updated capital expenditure program and also inflation adjustments. And any of those changes need to be assessed against the significance of engagement policy, and that will advise us on the appropriate type of engagement to undertake. In terms of timing, the proposed budgets and options for consultation will be taken to council in the new year, and consultation is likely to occur between March and April. And following that, council needs to take its decisions prior to adoption on the 1st of July. So those are the timeframes. So at this point, I'm happy to take any simple questions. If there's any detailed questions, I will write them down, and Kate is back at work tomorrow, so she'll be able to provide a response by the end of the week.
Mr. Chairman, in terms of the bridge that we talked about before, I'm assuming, and this may be a faulty assumption, that there are not too many NIMBYs in the bridge area because it's a bridge and there's nobody either side particularly, and that that project should proceed. So does that need to be anticipated in the capital expenditure plan?
It'll come through our annual plan discussions, I'm sure. Your manager will take us through those discussions for those dates. There's some dates at the bottom.
Yep, just through the chair in response, yeah, that's exactly the type of project that you would want to be flagging up for consultation in the LTP. I believe with the timeframes and through your area manager, you will be able to get some work done with Ed, possibly undertake the feedback with the community that you're seeking, which will leave you in a position of being informed, so you know exactly what you'll be consulting on. The timeframes will be a little bit tight, but that's okay. Ed and Eileen will take care of that for you. Very good.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, well, I think this is good information for us to look at. There's some key items in there that I think you should be aware of. And it's been at page 137, you'll see there's 6 key items there: the Koku Marine Precinct, the municipal building review, increase and new fees and charges, a revision of the CapEx and OpEx program work. This is a big one. We took on a pretty big program from year 1 of the long-term plan. Year 2, we completed. We rolled some money over, like $20 million. So it's sitting in there. We're trying to work through that. We need some heavy discussion at council on that coming up, I'm sure. And the revaluations and increase in depreciation costs is a biggie. So they've done the revaluations, and it's a big number, and it's going to have a rating impact. And how we deal with that will be a discussion coming through council for sure. But you need to be aware what's going on there. And that's obviously fix the last one, the overall rating impact on the vote. So yeah, so there's some pretty heavy discussions coming up, and wondering where all the money is.
Any further discussions on that? So I put the motion forward that the Whangamatā Community Board receives the 2023-2024 annual plan report dated the 31st of October. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried.
And I just asked that that discussion on the annual plan, Eileen, have we tracked down a date on that?
Has provided that information, but as soon as I get it, I'll.
That's right. Yes, we need to know that plan, maybe have a bit of a workshop around the discussions about that. So we need to get our heads around it, you know.
Anything else?
Action schedule.
The action schedule is the first one, actually. What's your next?
A mover and seconder in relation to the action schedule. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Mover. I'll second it. And yeah.
So the dump station we've discussed, but it'd be good. It's disappointing that they can't get that done prior to Christmas. I don't know why, because I understood that that dump pump they put in was a second-hand fix-me-up thing, so I hope it doesn't crap out.
So it's fair to use the right way.
Yeah, I was under that. Yeah, they were putting in a new macerating pump to get us through. They always knew that the dump station was going to be done before Christmas. It was after Christmas, and that was my understanding as well. The new macerating pump or the temporary fixes to get us through beach hop and Christmas.
Okay. See what happens.
The other points are all closed.
I think the work program, we talked about pedestrian crossing and Martin and Aiken Road.
Yes. Yep.
So that's one down there, if you know, going down towards the supermarket, down Aiken Road, there's a little wee pedestrian crossing that goes over into the electrical J.R. Russell.
Yeah.
Across the road. It gets knocked over all the time. It's right on a corner. It's very dangerous, so they're going to take that away. And they're going to do some work around the corners of that intersection and the next one, Casement, to try and bring them in closer so that people won't have a big distance to walk across the road and slowing the cars down.
Yeah.
So that used to get knocked over every week, and everybody backing out of our J.R. Russell ran it over anyway. So it's a pain in the ass. So that's good that it's been happening. The nib curb, have you heard anything about that, Eileen, about a new contractor? No. So the nib curb project's a project we started in 2014. And we went out and consultated with the, really around the non-resident ratepayers around the areas around Barbara and Ocean Road and up towards the beach about whether they wanted a footpath or not. And it was our discussions around 2017 when we had a big flood in town and the whole of the place went underwater. So there's no real stormwater system in town with pipes. The whole of it's drainage, soakage. So we didn't want to lose that soakage. And we asked the people, do you want to park your jet ski in your mate's car on there or a footpath? And they said, we just don't want that. We want to be able to park our cars on the berms and keep the berms big for soakage. So instead we widened the road to 5.5 metres and put a nip curb along there, which protects the road from getting water underneath and the road lasts longer. And you'll see them around town. And most places where there is a footpath, there should be curb and channel. Except Bologna, because they got it wrong. But anyway, you'll see Kiwi Road is at the lower end of town, has a lot more flooding, but it's got curb and channel going into stormwater accesses. But around the other ends of town, like down Beach Road, Rutherford, Bologna and all that, is all soakage. So they will be dip curb type edges. We did about 6 streets for about $200,000. Now we do 1 street for $400,000. The cost was just rolling up. So we want to get this project over the line and done. We had trouble with the recent contractor down on Balaclava, and he was having a lot of issues. We got a lot of feedback from the people. It wasn't very good, so we're looking for a new contractor down there to do Rutherford Street's the next one for the plan. And there's a plan in place to show the streets when it's happening. So it's a project we want to get finished and completed, and it does tidy the street up and it makes the road edge a lot more better. There's quite a few streets which are very narrow, which will come out to say 2 cars pass without running into each other. So that's that project that's trying to get there. 2014 it started.
So with the nice Beverly with the nib curb down and people were in parking cars for us.
Yeah.
Beverly's also quite a pedestrian link, and there's a lot of people walk on the road.
And we discussed that with the people, and they said, we want you to walk on the road and wander around the street, so people park their cars and did the walking and cycling thing.
Yeah.
And slow the speeds down. And the road to zero, I think, will come out, and then obviously there'll be some discussion around road speeds around that at the time as well. But yeah, we want the people to relax, come to the beach, but they have so many friends with cars and things, that if you put a footpath, they park their car on the footpath, there'd be a war. So we asked the decision, and that's what they wanted, and it made sense to especially for the soakage for the stormwater. Really important. If you look around town, there's so much more roofs and concrete driveways going in, it just cuts away the drainage all the time, soakage. So when it rains heavily, the water just moves instead of soaking away. So it's a continual problem for us, and that's, I think over the next 3 years, we've got about $6 million to spend on upgrading the stormwater to try and improve the water out of the system. So it's a big project.
Just in relation to the toilet at Beach Road, I see that the thrusting was undertaken with some difficulty, but it also said the new power cable would be due by the 31st of October. Do we know if that's been done?
As far as I'm aware, everything's been completed, but Bruce, are you still online? Do you know, as far as I'm aware, all those toilet blocks were completed and they're just waiting for the final invoices. That was what was in your work program. So I'd be picking from what was in the work program. It would have been done. If
Yeah,
they
through-
for final invoices.
Through the chair, my understanding was they were complete, the same as what Eileen's just said.
Thank you. And just the other one, Bruce, is the Chevron road light. We managed to have 2 lights put in, and this one's gone on for well over 12 months. The light standard is there, but the last time I checked, the light itself had not been done, and they were talking about having to thrust the power cables over. Do you know if that's
No, I don't. So is that Chevron Road, did you say?
right off the drive? Yes.
Crescent. Okay. Off the drive. I'll find out.
Thank you. Any other discussions or inquiries in relation to that? I put the motion, the Whangamatā Community Board receives the action schedule reported dated the 25th of October 2022. All those in favour? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Nothing. We close the meeting now. I declare the meeting closed, but thank you for your attendance and those people that have come online to assist with us. And I now ask that the reporting be closed. Stop. Stop recording. Stop.
Okay, your